guys, it's Nick, and we have some news. The Blackhawks inaugural Hall of Fame class has been officially announced. And as we knew, the first part of the class was going to be all the retired numbers by the Blackhawks. That means from Glenn Hall, Bobby Hall, Stan Mikita, Chris Chelios, Pierre Palant, Keith Magnuson, Dennis Savard, and Marian Hossa and Tony Esposito's numbers were automatically locked into the Blackhawk Hall of Fame. The Hawks have been running a vote all off season for two additional inductees to the inaugural class. And well, the voting is over, and those two players are number 2, Duncan Keith, and number 28, Steve Larmer, added to the Blackhawks Hall of Fame. This is the inaugural class, so that's why there's going to be a lot of players in the Hawks Hall of Fame to start it off, and it was all retired numbers, which makes sense. Two more players added to the list that frankly, or arguably, should be getting their numbers retired. Duncan Keith going into the Hockey Hall of Fame as well this year. It should have his number retired. Steve Larmer, a lot of fans, including myself, do agree. That number 28 should be retired and not be worn on the ice of the Blackhawks, and it's been given out like a piece of candy. So we're seeing the Blackhawks Hall of Fame now. And here so this graphic on my side is the official graphic by the Chicago Blackhawks with all the players in the inaugural class of the Blackhawks Hall of Fame. Chris Chelios, Tony Esposito, Glenn Hall, Marian Hossa, Bobby Hall, Duncan Keith, Steve Larmer, Keith Magnuson, Stan Mikita, Pierre Palant, and Dennis Savard, all in the Blackhawks Hall of Fame. The way the Hawks did it was a smart move. They did a heritage class and a modern era class for the voting. So Duncan Keith was in the modern era class and Steve Larmer was in the heritage class. So Duncan Keith gets put in. I thought that's going to probably be a unanimous vote for everyone to probably go Duncan Keith's route because, frankly, he is the greatest defenseman in Blackhawks history. So seeing Duncan Keith get voted in makes sense. Steve Larmer getting put in is much well deserved by the fans putting him in, including the media, because it was fan, media, and alumni vote. And every fan I talked to wants Steve Larmer's number hanging in the rafters. It makes sense. He played a great career, an Ironman in the NHL, a Calder Trophy for the Blackhawks, and he's viewed upon as one of the best Blackhawks to lace them up. This class is a good class. You have the retired numbers making sense to have them in, and then you have a player who's going to the Hockey Hall of Fame this year, and a player well recognized by the fans for what he accomplished as a player. This is where I'm at. What does the Blackhawks do for the next set of classes for the for the Blackhawks Hall of Fame? Because are they going to stick with just putting 2 in each year after this? Let's get into my final thoughts. My final thoughts are, how are the Hawks going to do the Hawks Hall of Fame in the next couple of years? Because on the voting for the ballot in the Heritage class, there's so many players you could put into it that were honestly not on the ballot. Like one player that comes to mind who probably should be recognized more than he is, because they do show his trophy accusations on the Jumbotron before all the games. Player is Charlie Gardner. He was the goalie of the 1934 Stanley Cup champion Chicago Blackhawks, playing 7 years with the team And including in that 1934 team, he was the team's captain on ice. Only goalie in to win the Stanley Cup as captain of their team. That's an incredible accolade. He also passed away a couple months after winning the Stanley Cup. There's players' stories that do need to be recognized, such as like Charlie Gardner. There's also people that work in the organization's history that should be recognized, like Pat Foley, in my opinion. He's the voice. He's the voice for everyone when it comes to Chicago Blackhawks hockey. John Weideman should be recognized. He's going into his 20th year in the booth for the radio broadcast. There's people who worked in the organization, not on the ice, that should be recognized, like Pat Foley, Frank Pellico. That's where I'm at. The Blackhawk Hall of Fame shouldn't just be for players. It should be people who meant so much to the organization that weren't just players, but out in the broadcast booth, up in playing the organ like Frank Pellico. It makes sense to look into it like that. But going into next year, it's going to be interesting. Are the Hawks going to just add 2 more players to the Hawks Hall of Fame? Or are they going to add a couple extra than just 2? I just want to know how that's going to work. So down in the comments down below, I want to hear what your thoughts are on the inaugural class of the Blackhawks Hall of Fame and who you think should be in the Blackhawk Hall of Fame for the next class. So thank you for watching the broadcast. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And most of all, let's go Hawks!